Oral sex is illegal in Islam? This is shocking, but let me explain. Oral sex is not just discouraged in Islam, it could be outright haram, forbidden. You heard that right. Many people assume that since it's not directly mentioned in the Quran, it must be okay. But here's the twist: Islamic scholars have debated this topic for centuries, and the answer might not be what you expect. Is it really haram? Or is it just a myth spread by cultural beliefs? Stick around, because what you're about to learn might completely change how you see this issue. And trust me, you don't want to get this wrong. The consequences could be far more serious than you think. Let's get into it. Breaking down the Islamic perspective. Alright, let's start with the basics. What does Islam actually say about oral sex? One thing is clear: nowhere in the Quran does it explicitly mention oral sex. That's why some people assume it's a gray area. But here's where things get interesting: Islamic rulings aren't just based on the Quran alone. We also have the Hadiths, sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and interpretations by scholars over centuries. So what do scholars say? It depends. Some scholars argue that if something is not explicitly forbidden, it should be allowed, as long as it doesn't lead to harm or impurity. Others say that oral sex is undignified, impure, and inappropriate, making it haram, forbidden. And then there's a middle ground. Some scholars allow it under specific conditions, like cleanliness and mutual consent. So, which one is correct? Let's go deeper. The scholarly debate. To really understand this issue, we need to look at different perspectives from scholars. Some scholars tend to be more permissive, arguing that as long as it doesn't lead to impurity or harm, it might be allowed between married couples. Others emphasize dignity and purity, believing that such acts resemble animalistic behavior and should be avoided. Another perspective suggests that while it's not directly forbidden, it's highly discouraged because of hygiene concerns. So, here's the big question: if there's no clear answer, why do so many people believe oral sex is haram? The answer might surprise you. Culture versus religion. Here's something most people don't realize: a lot of what we think is Islamic law is actually cultural influence. In some Muslim-majority countries, cultural modesty plays a huge role in shaping views on intimacy. Many religious leaders avoid discussing sexual topics, making people assume anything not openly discussed must be forbidden. Some even believe that if something feels wrong, it must be religiously wrong. But that's not how Islamic rulings work. Islam is a religion of clear guidelines, not emotional assumptions. The biggest misconception, one of the biggest myths about oral sex in Islam, is that it's automatically impure. People argue that the mouth is used for reciting the Quran, so it should remain pure. But here's the flaw in that logic: the same mouth also eats food, drinks, and speaks, none of which make the mouth permanently impure. The Prophet, Pbuh, emphasized cleanliness, not restriction. As long as hygiene is maintained, does oral sex really fall under impurity? So, what's the real answer? Stick with me, it's about to get even more interesting. The final verdict based on everything we've discussed: here's the most logical conclusion: oral sex is not explicitly forbidden in Islam. However, many scholars discourage it based on dignity, hygiene, and cultural modesty. If done within marriage, with cleanliness and mutual consent, there's no clear evidence to call it haram. But if it leads to impurity or disrespect, it could become impermissible. So, instead of asking, is oral sex haram? Maybe the better question is, does it align with Islamic principles of purity, respect, and mutual consent? So, after everything we've covered, what do you think? Should oral sex be considered haram or not? Drop your thoughts in the comments, but remember, this is about learning, not judging. And if you found this video insightful, here's a challenge: share this with someone who believes oral sex is absolutely haram and see what they say. Let's see if this video changes anyone's mind. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay respectful, and keep questioning everything. See you in the next one.